Hello everybody, hope everyone is doing well. We're going to be working on our second object today, and with that we're going to be creating our practice blocks, a shape you guys are all familiar with. You guys have done this before a few times in class when we worked with isometrics and orthographics. It's a shape that's just easy for us to understand and has a few different things, angles, shapes that we have to put into it. So we're also going to be learning a new skill or a new tool today in TinkerCAD, and that's how to use the ruler. All right, it's a tool that's going to make our life a lot easier and allow us to create these objects and put things together. So when you go to your TinkerCAD to start things off, and then go to the Create New Design tab, click on that. When that opens up for you, sometimes takes a second or two, we're going to go up first and we're going to change our file name. So when we do this, we're going to type in practice block again, and put your name. Your first name is fine, just so I know who I'm looking at when I go to look them over. If you guys haven't seen from the last one, I did go through and leave comments for people underneath your projects on TinkerCAD, so you kind of get some feedback with it and what we'd expect or how you did, or if you need to change something, just simple things. So after we get that done, remember, just type that up there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to change our grid again. So we'll go down to here, the bottom where it says Edit Grid. Then we're going to change to inches. All right, and we want to make this 10 by 10. We want our width and our length to be 10. We update our grid, we get a little bit bigger work area, and now we're going to be using inches. Now the ruler tool is up here on the right side. You can see the little finger pointing to it right now. And to start off today, we're going to take this and we're just going to drag it down in the corner here. Doesn't really matter. Let it go. Now, what this ruler is, it's our X and our Y axis. All right. Whenever we use any sort of program like TinkerCAD, or when we get to work with Inventor or any of these 3D modeling programs, all they are is really complex XY or Cartesian coordinate axis. X-axis, Y-axis, and vertically is the Z-axis. So once we have that in place, we're going to start by dragging our block over. First thing we're going to do today. And now you're going to see something new that we didn't see before. Once we have the ruler on there, you can see all the measurements we're going to be using and we're going to be working with. I always like to turn this off up here too, just to get it out of the way. Down here, once again, we have our x-axis and we have our y-axis. And with this right here is our number on our x-axis. We're going to make this 0. We want to bring this back to our point of origin. You can see how it slides it over. So now it's 0 on our x-axis, and we're going to make our y-axis 0. So now we have our point of origin. We're kind of zeroed out here, so the corner's at 0. The next thing we want to do, once we have that zeroed, is we're going to start to change some of our dimensions on this block. Now the first thing we're going to change is our width. And our width is going to be 2.5 inches. So type in 2.5 after you click the little box that represents the width. And then you can hit enter. The depth is going to be 2.25. And our height is going to be 1.75 or 1 3/4 inches. That's going to be the size of the block we're going to be working with. If I click aside, it'll get rid of those measurements. If I go back to it and I click on it again, it'll bring all those measurements back up. Now, what we're going to be using next is we're going to be using something called a roof, I guess for obvious reasons. If you scroll down in your basic shapes, You'll come to this point that says roof. We're going to grab that roof and drag it out. Now, once it's dragged out, before we change any of the dimensions, we're going to have to change the way it's pointing. We're going to have to change the orientation of the object. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to stand this up. So we're going to click on here. You can see how it kind of projects this axis around here. And when we do, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to type in 90 degrees. And that'll stand it up straight. Now when that's done, what we're going to do next is we are going to change, where is it? Oh, it's right there. We're going to change this by 90 degrees as well. All right, so now it's pointing in the same direction as that pointy shape that we use for the front of the practice block. Now, one thing we also have to do, and this is because we changed the shape, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see how there's this line where the top and the bottom went through. I guess that's because when we changed the axis, it dropped it down a little bit. And here on our z-axis, now you can see we have that little green part for our z-axis. It's -1/4. So we're going to change that to 0. That brings it right up. Now, we'll change the dimensions before we bring it and attach it to the front of that block. The width dimension's already correct at 1/2 inch. Our depth, it has to be 2.25, just like the other one. And then our height has to be 1.75, the same as the other one. Now that we have that in place, the next thing we want to do is we're going to bring it down to 0 on the y-axis. And remember, when we go to rotate this, if you right-click, if you're using a mouse, you can right-click and bring this around. You could also go up here and drag on the view cube and click on that and get to an angle where you can see it as well. But we want to take this y-axis from here to there and make it 0. Then we need to bring this face right here to this face right here. So now we're going to be changing the x-axis. When we go to do that, we remember the width for this is 2.5 or 2.5 inches. We're going to change this to 2.5. And that's just going to put it right on the front. Now when we look at this, we have our basic practice block shape like we've made before in class on our other drawings. We're going to use our group tool now to bring this together. So I'm just going to left click and drag over. Then I can go up here to where it says group, click on it, and now I have a solid object. And that, as you can see, has that shape of what we call the practice block in class. The last thing we have to do, as you know, is we have to put the hole through the practice block. We're going to go up to the top and we're going to get the cylinder, the transparent looking cylinder, the one that's striped, because that's going to make it a hole for us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change this to 0.5, which is 1/2 inch. 0.5, which is 1/2 inch. And then for our height, we're going to change it to 2. Give us a little extra, allow it to go through the whole object. Now, we're going to use the ruler a different way. If you look at the x-axis right now, what you can see is it lines up with the edge of this cylinder. We have the option to make it line up with the middle. And to do that, we go over here where it says use midpoints, and we're going to click on that. Now when we go back, we put it, oh, I guess it didn't work that time. Click on use midpoints. And wait for a second. Okay. Didn't do it. Let's try one more time. Use midpoints. And of course, you're going to be a little fussy with us today. There we go. Now, if you go back over it, you say it says use endpoints, but if you look at this green area where this lines up with now, it's no longer with the edge, it's with the center. So what we can do is we're going to change this number to 1.5 because we want it to be in the center this way. And for the width on the y-axis, we're going to change that to 1.125 or 1 1/8 inch, and that's going to center it up. All right, so once again, the x-axis is 1.5 or 1.5 inches, and the y-axis is 1.125 or 1 1/8. Then I can take this and I can drag it over again. I go back up to my group tool. I group it. I can go turn my ruler off. If you go to the little X there, click that off. Okay, click that off. And then we have our practice block, just like you guys are familiar with. If you want to go back and change the color too, that's fine. It's up to you. Whatever. All right, give it a shot. If you have any questions, type them in like I said before. You guys that did it last time are doing a great job on this. Keep it up. And we'll see you on the next video. Have a great day.